when I was an actor, I mean, I'm still an actor, but before I became a producer, when I was just an actor, I would keep looking for stories like this. And I'll be very honest, for myself, for me. And Karnesh and me would always have these discussions like, why are we not, why don't we have these kinds of movies that are getting made?
Thank you so much for joining us, Anushka Sharma, Karnesh Ssharma, and Anvita Dutt. I watched Bulbbul and absolutely loved the experience. And, it looks at the age-old beliefs of superstition. And you've also been, giving us some brave content, nailing various genres, and horror being one of them. So tell us, what was the process? How did it all come about? Because Bulbbul is just not a story of mythology. It also has a deeper message of justice, self-discovery.
Well, it came about with Anvita's script, which she had shared with Karnesh many years ago. This was even before Karnesh and we were producing films. And I think, Anvita, you'd be the best person to tell the story.
Yeah, this is at a time when Karnesh was actually in the Merchant Navy. Anushka had just done Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi. I think she was shooting for Band Baja Barat at that time. And we met, and Karnesh and I really hit it off. And just in conversation, the kind of stories I really want to tell came up. And I told him that I've written something. And a friend of ours, Sudeep, had already read it. And he said, you must read it. It's great fun. And Karnesh read it, and he loved it so much that he told me that one day I will become producer and I will produce this film. And he is a man of his word, because a few years passed and he did turn producer with Anushka. And that's when he shared the script with Anushka, and Anushka also loved it. And they both decided that, yes, they will back this film and they will produce it. So that's how it happened. And it's not genre specific. I think this, at least from my point of view, what I feel is that everything that they've done is about great storytelling, engaging yarns. That's what they are into. They are storytellers. So they, I'm assuming, picked this one up because it fit that bill as well. So that is what it is, not because it was spine-chilling or not. Just an engaging story.
Yeah, I think for us, it was primarily a very engaging story. And that's what attracts us to stories. And what you discover in the stories is something which defines how strong a story is, and those are the things you later discover in the film. So I think for us, what really worked for the story was, it was a very simple story, told in a very poetic manner, and it had brilliant visuals, which is very apparent in Anvita's writing. The way she writes her story is very picturesque. So that it was as simple as that.
And I think it was also because we felt like it had a universal tonality to it. The kind of story this is are the kind of stories your grandmom tells you when you're a kid, folklore, fables, and it's universal. It happens in every culture. So we just thought that it had that angle to it, where everybody would be able to identify with such stories, but it's said in such a simplistic way, but cinematic, that it was just the most unique but amazing balance for us. And we've always chased uniqueness in the films and the scripts that we've picked to do. And Bulbbul is definitely a unique story.
Anvita, you'd also written the screenplay for Filori. So what was the transition like from, screenplay writing to direction? And Bulbbul, I love the atmospherics, the red tones and the sepia tint.
I wrote Filori, I wrote the lyrics, I wrote lyrics and dialogue for Pari. So association with Clean Slate has been there, the personal and the professional, so it's quite fabulous. The transition from direction happened actually, you have to give the credit or the blame to Bulbbul. Because I wrote the script, and that's the first time that thought came into my mind. Till then, I'd not even thought of directing. But I wrote the story, and it was like she was in my blood, bone, and veins. And I was like, I'm not going to give this to anybody else. I will direct this. And what was incredible was that both Karnesh and Anushka, because as producers, they have worked with first-time directors multiple times, and they had, I don't think they had a moment of hesitation or doubt. They supported me completely. They were like, that thought didn't cross their mind, at least from my point of view, that, oh, this is a first-time director, this might be a complex task for her to tell a story like this, but they completely believed in it. So it happened. So the journey to become a director is the writing of Bulbbul and the faith of Clean Slate.
Anushka, this one is for you. How different is Anushka, the actor, from Anushka, the producer? And does the actor in you influence the producer in you?
I think in terms of just understanding, like I was an actor first, obviously. All my experience and my understanding of films comes from there. The kind of time that I've spent with the directors that I worked with, the writers who I've been friends with, the film sets that I've been on. So I think I'm really fortunate that I've got to work with some of the best directors in the business and some of the best writers in the business. So I think that influence is, has always been there. And I'm an actor who really, I'm not someone who is only bothered about what I am doing per se with my character. So I would get really involved with the film. So I think that involvement somewhere helped me in my understanding of films a little bit more. So I think that creative, I would say, understanding, insight is something that I have tried to use in my experience as a producer. I think I've always said that when you have a sort of story which is always trying to, or films which are always trying to break your perspective as an audience or give you a different vision of the world. These kind of stories really, I feel, enlighten your mind. And I think for us, for Karnesh and me, it's always been about chasing these kinds of stories. And when I was an actor, I mean, I'm still an actor, but before I became a producer, when I was just an actor, I would keep looking for stories like this. And I'll be very honest, for myself, for me. And Karnesh and me would always have these discussions like, why are we not, why don't we have these kinds of movies that are getting made? So I think somewhere that idea, that thing was always there, the kida for uniqueness, something different. And I think we've just managed to use that and sort of have this vision for our company, and hopefully we're following through.
Well, this one is for Anushka and Karnesh both. So tell us about the production and casting process, because Clean Slate Films is known to pick up new talent and also give a fresh twist to existing ones. So you have Rahul, Bose and Paoli Dam on one hand, and then you have Avinash Tiwary and Tripti Dimri on the other.
I think, like Anvita mentioned, the journey of the film started with the script coming to us, and we really liking the script and wanting to go ahead with it. I think post that, it is the natural process which a film sees. You pitch it to studios, you pitch it to actors, and you see who is interested in the film. And luckily for us, this film was always conceived as a Netflix original film. So I think that was straightforward for us. Once Netflix came on board, we had a thorough audition process where all the characters in the film were auditioned, and that's how it went about. And we are very thankful and grateful, I would say, to Netflix for never kind of questioning or doubting the intentions we had, and strongly standing behind us on this. So I think that's pretty much about the process of Bulbbul.
And this one is for all three of you, Anvita, Karnesh, and Anushka. So, are we going to see a change in narratives and storytelling post-COVID?
I don't think so. I don't know why storytelling should change, irrespective of the medium. I think maybe one has to be more aware of what kind of stories deemed fit for what kind of medium. There are different permutations and combinations when you have a film for theatrical versus you have a film for OTT or digital. That doesn't quite change the storytelling process. That is what my belief is. I think the basic idea of any film or any long format is always first the story. You don't let the medium dictate what your story should be. So I think personally, I don't think post COVID the style of telling stories would be any different.
So then, unless you say that, okay, when the entire world gets impacted by something like the world wars happened, or like when India was impacted by partition, it can creep into the kind of stories you might make films or shows about this and new environment or this new worldwide pandemic that we've gone through. So that might happen. Of course, people will be influenced by it. Some people will write about the tragedy of it. Some people will write horror based on something like this kind of an environment. The new normal will creep into your storytelling.
This is what I felt like you meant, like by storytelling. I think in general, that's always happened in the past. We've always been influenced by what has happened around us, and cinema has always been influenced by it. So I'm sure there will be some inspiration that will come from things that have happened in the world. Obviously, because this has been a huge thing, unprecedented sort of circumstances that the world saw itself in. So I think that is bound to happen. I also know that some people have registered some titles also, I think. I don't know exactly who has and what the titles are, but I heard some news about people registering titles. So I think maybe the plans are there already.
This is for both the ladies, Anushka and Anvita. Both of you pushed the envelope, Anushka, you as an actor and producer, and Anvita, you as a writer and now director. So do you feel the OTT platform has given us a wider platform in terms of narratives and performances? And what is it that both of you actually want to see more of?
I think for any one of us, you want to challenge yourself. I mean, whether it's Anvita, I'm assuming, like, you always want to challenge yourself with the scripts that you do, with the films that you direct. I mean, it seems with an actor, you want to do things which are different. Like I said, this is Karnesh and my philosophy for this company of ours. And I think what the OTT platforms are doing is, because you can really explore different sort of stories. You can have that sort of liberty to tell a unique story. There's no sort of baggage of keeping things within a certain understanding or certain कि ये चलता है ये नहीं चलता. I mean, you really can explore stories, you really can explore ideas quite freely. And I think that's the positive of it. I think I think that's also our dog. He's also in agreement. Dude. That's dude. So I think you get that opportunity with the OTT platforms. And I think it's providing a lot of opportunities to new writers, to new directors, because there's so much work really happening on these platforms. So I feel like it's really creatively very liberating and very rich, right now.
As I was saying, as a storyteller, basically, actually there's no difference when you're creating your material, when you're writing it, or when you're shooting it. You are not thinking, oh, this is for OTT, so I will treat it differently, or it's theatrical, I will treat it differently. Creatively, the process remains the same. The intention remains the same, that you want to tell a great, engaging story. You want to have fun while doing it. You want it to come together for you the way it is meant to. But what OTT does is it gives you one more platform. So earlier there was the stage. We did theater and plays and performed in corners of streets. And then came cinema. There was art, there was cinema, there was music, and it all came together, became movies. And today it's given us another platform to showcase our stories on. So that is amazing, and with great reach. Like something like Netflix has reaches out to 190 countries. Your film drops at the same time across 190 countries. So that is exciting for storytellers.
Also, if I may add, and this is a sense I'm getting, because we've been talking to a lot of, friends in media and stuff like that. I think we are still warming up to the idea of OTT in our country. So there is a lot of misconception about the kind of films which go into OTT. I think we are still new, and the business model is still being worked out by the various platforms. The kind of content which goes, and I think OTT is here to stay. I think with time we will also see what is probably happening in West with the films. Like you have directors like Martin Scorsese, Alfonso Cuarón directing films for Netflix, which are big budget films, which are films which were actually rejected by the studio systems in Hollywood. And they found their calling, and they found their audience, and they've done so well. So I think this is the transitionary stage for us in India, and soon I think we would see, when there is a set business model, because filmmaking is also about business
Yeah.
at times. Uh, you know, then we would see, and probably these kind of questions, will not be asked.
Yeah. And I also feel like people have this sense that OTT platforms mean that films will not be cinematic. They'll just be like SR stories, simple stories. But I would say that Bulbbul is an extremely cinematic film on an OTT platform. So
Yeah.
we don't see it like that. You will tell a story the way it's meant to be said, the way it's been written. So I think these sort of notions will soon get cleared with the kind of work that's going to happen, and hopefully Clean Slate will be enabling that. That's the idea.
This is for both Anushka and Karnesh. It's been 6 years since you started Clean Slate. From films to digital, you've been giving us content. So in a competitive space, what do you feel sets Clean Slate apart from the rest?
Hopefully, the expectations of a good story. I don't know what should set us apart, but listen, I personally feel that we are not trying to be different. We are trying to do.
Yeah.
We are trying to do what we know best. There is no constant desire to stand out or to be different. We know what we understand, and we have an affinity towards certain kind of cinema, and we just hope that we can create that cinema, and then really hope that it resonates with people. So I don't think there's a constant desire to stand out, but if we do,
I mean, it's not a matter of posturing, honestly. It's not really something that we're not trying to create a brand. We are creating cinema, and we are creating content which we believe in, and it just so happens that it happens to be different. It happens to be unique because that is what interests us. If Karnesh and me were to look at the kind of films that we've liked over the years, those are the kind of films we've liked. Our influence has been that. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're not trying to stand out, like he said, and that's the wrong way of doing things in any case. And this is something that people should be able to decide for us. I think for us, for Karnesh and me, it's just, when you think about Clean Slate, you should think that it's a production house which will bring you good movies, and you should look forward to the things that we're going to do in the future. That's what we would like for our company, that people look forward to what we're doing, and when our name is attached to a project, they feel that this is going to be a good thing and we want to watch this, and that sort of anticipation should be there. That's what we would like, and I think that would be a mark of success for us.
And lastly, Anushka, this one is for you. What's been your biggest takeaway from the lockdown? Your posts have been giving a sense of calm in this chaotic world. Either, you're finding your sunspot or tending to your garden. So what has been your biggest takeaway?
I think, for me, when the lockdown happened, like for everybody else, there were very strange circumstances that we all found ourselves in. It was extremely uncertain. So for one, it made me understand that not everything is in our control. In fact, nothing is in your control as a human being, because this COVID situation taught us that. Like, however we knew the world and however we saw the world, it was completely flipped over, and we we were just doing the bare minimum, which was to survive. And I think that made me that brought a lot of humility, that brought a lot of understanding of the way the universe works. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway from this has been that because of things not working normally like how they normally do, when everybody is doing their job and the world is functioning in its normal pace, you don't understand the kind of codependence and interdependence we have for one another. You don't understand how things reach you, like how grocery gets to your house, how say your driver reaches your home, how people are reaching their workplaces in time. People are traveling from one place to another to do things. I mean, when everything is at a standstill, like it was, you understand how nobody is more important than anybody, because every work that somebody does affects everybody's life. So I'm no more important than the next person, and vice versa, because all of us are doing something which is impacting somebody else's life, which is affecting somebody else's life. And that understanding, while it is something that I've always mulled over in my life, but I think with this COVID situation it became amply clear. And you understood how important everybody's existence is. No one's existence is in vain. And I think that was anyways my takeaway from this entire thing. And apart from so much else that you understood, the emotions you felt, the hurt, the pain you felt about the suffering of so many people. And the only thing that you could do was just try to help out people and reach out to people in any way and in the best way that you could. And I think while it was very strange, it also really brought us all together. It impacted people's lives in a way that they had to look for something more within them, because everybody was distracted. Like usually your work distracts you from thinking about things. It just kind of makes you diverts your attention. But now everybody was kind of left to deal with things in their lives, and I think it helped everyone sympathize with one another a lot more. So yeah, that's what I took from it.
I think I'm in perpetual state of lockdown. I'm not going to office in this, so that's the only difference in my life. Otherwise, I go to office and come back home. So, but jokes apart, I think what I've learned is to be more relaxed about life, and not stress about it, and to be more easy with yourself. I think what I've not done in this lockdown is pressurize myself, whether it is the pressure of eating right, or whether it is the pressure of working out, or whether it is the pressure of doing something. I think I've given myself the leeway to let go. If I don't feel like doing anything, I don't do it. If I feel like waking up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I do that. And also, be more empathetic towards people. I think that is where what like Anushka was saying, that there's so many people who work towards and for each other, and sustaining each other's lifestyle. We at times have not had the time to think about them or thank them, or have empathy towards them. I think that is what made me realize to be more empathetic and kind of reinstated uh, you know uh, trust in humans, because there have been people who've been going out of their way to help people in need. And that's very heartening to see. And it makes you feel uh, about the contribution you can also make towards society at large. So yeah, that's been my takeaway.
So I'm just going to add to what Anushka and Karnesh have said, because I'm in agreement with what they've said. I think what it made me feel was how fortunate we are that not just financially, emotionally, because there are people out there who have the collateral damage. So we first thought the virus was frightening, but the collateral damage of the virus was actually more frightening, where people either felt bereft because of a lack of livelihood or home, or bereft because of lack of human contact, and we are really fortunate and that we have Lifeline. So as much as I can individually, and I'm heartened to see, like Karnesh said, that there are so many people out there. You reach out, you offer that lifeline financially or emotionally to the people who are not as fortunate as you. That is what.
Well, thank you all very much for giving us your time, and keep the good content coming and keep the good times rolling. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.